endurance. To North Korea now, where the threats and maneuvers are at dangerous levels. After saying that the U.S. has pushed the peninsula to the brink of war, North Korea moved 2 mobile missile launchers with medium-range missiles to the country's east coast. In response, South Korea sent a couple of destroyers to guard the coast. Joining me now is former U.S. ambassador to South Korea and lead negotiator on North Korea, Christopher Hill, and Joseph Cirincione, former advisor to President Obama on nuclear issues. Ambassador Hill, it's believed that any launch would be a test launch and not targeted strike. Why is that?
Well, certainly the movements we've seen, the type of vehicles, et cetera, are consistent with a test launch. Also, I don't believe these missiles have ever been fired before. So I think most analysts believe this is indeed a test launch. And it may be the sort of crescendo the North Koreans are looking for as they get through April and as the U.S.-South Korean exercise comes to an end.
And Mr. Cirincione, how advanced are the North Korean missiles? It's been showing off its weapons, but some of these are pretty outdated, maybe not very sophisticated. Are they really up to a 21st century fight?
Well, these missiles we believe, are based on an old Soviet design, an old Soviet submarine-launched ballistic missiles. As the ambassador, who's the real expert on the Korean Peninsula, noted, they've never been tested. This may just be for show. These are liquid fuel missiles, so we're not going to see a sudden launch. They have to be erected. They have to be fueled. That would take hours, maybe days. So you'd see this happening. If we were truly worried, we could launch airstrikes while these missiles are on the launch pad. The missile interceptors that you've seen deployed actually have little relevance to this. The missile interceptors we're going to deploy in Guam are further away than this missile can possibly reach, and those are really for short and medium range missiles. So a lot of this is for show.
Obviously, with 29,000 U.S. troops nearby, though, all of this is of concern. But Ambassador, North Korea has told Russia and Britain that their embassies could be in danger. Is that just a ploy to get other governments involved?
Yeah, it sure looks like they're trying to kind of hype the notion that there's danger in the peninsula that's caused by the U.S., et cetera. I must say I've never heard of this kind of thing before, to tell embassies to go run for your lives, and then the embassies say, no, we're fine just staying right here. So it is really an example of this kind of bizarre North Korean propaganda.
It sounds like this has a lot to do with internal politics, less so external politics. Mr. Cirincione, what is the end game in your mind?
Yeah, Ambassador Hill points out the limits of our ability to sort of match their move with our move. We've stood firm. We've reassured our allies. We're now working with China. We've sort of drawn clear limits for North Korea. But you can't really get in this bluster, counter-bluster game. North Korea can out-crazy us. There's an infinite number of things they could do, like this stunt on warning embassies to evacuate. So now you're looking for the exit ramp. You want to work with your allies, work with China. How do you back North Korea down? Don't respond to these provocations. Don't escalate the crisis. I actually think over the next few weeks, particularly as the exercises between U.S. and South Korea calm down, that you might be able to walk this crisis back and get the parties to the negotiating table.
Mr. Ambassador, there's always a perception that we can just appeal to China, and China will sort of knock North Korea back into order. But is it as simple a math as that?
No, I wish it were. First of all, the Chinese probably have there are limitations to what they can do with the North Koreans. There's also limitations to what they want to do. China is pretty split on the subject. There are those in China who feel they're a plucky little ally and they don't want to push them, and then there are others who would like to be rid of them. But clearly China has moved somewhat in recent weeks. They're clearly getting a little tired of the North Koreans, and I think that's why it's been important for the U.S. to kind of keep our own rhetoric at a lower level and try to work with the Chinese and explore ways that China can be helpful in bringing the North Koreans back from the brink. I doubt that we're going to be able to get any nuclear talks started anytime soon, but at least we can kind of get through this crisis of the last few weeks.
Now, Mr. Cirincione, I mean, is it your perception that this has more to do with internal politics? We do seem to be taking it more seriously because of the test launch and the nuclear test they've had in recent months, but is this about Kim Jong-un consolidating his power internally?
Oh, almost certainly. Never underestimate the role of domestic politics in international affairs. This is a young, untested leader. He's the third in the Kim dynasty. They've been in control for 60 years. A lot of the bluster that you see works for them internally. This is about shoring up his domestic base, making a bond between him and the people, solidifying his ties with the military, increasing his negotiating status, his chips for any talks that do occur. It's almost certainly internal. That's why it's important for us to have close communication with our allies. It's important that you heard Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel say he's been in touch with the Chinese Defense Minister. Secretary of State John Kerry is going to be in Beijing next Saturday. I think that might be a crucial period for this entire crisis.
Mr. Ambassador, just very quickly, I take it you see this thing as just ratcheting down over time, it sounds like.
Well, you know, first of all, we have to be very careful on this situation. The North Koreans are, you know, this is not the most sophisticated bunch of leaders we're dealing with over there, and they really kind of moved right up to the line. They could easily stumble over it. The South Koreans are truly fed up with this situation. So the chance of an incident, the DMZ offshore, somewhere like that, is, I think, significant. So I think we have to be very careful here. But the hope is that the North Koreans will feel they've kind of gotten out of this what they wanted to get, which I completely agree with Joe, has to do with their domestic politics. I don't think they're going to get much from anybody else. I don't see the North Koreans winning in this exchange, somehow getting financial consideration, et cetera. But, you know, this has been a tough situation, and I give the administration very high marks in how they've handled it.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you, Miguel.
A psychiatrist who treated